guys, welcome back to EK TV. I'm delighted to have Sukhi Jutla with us, the founder and COO of Market Orders. Welcome.
Hey Aaron, really great to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Cool. How are you finding London Blockchain Week so far?
I think it's great, and what really excites me is that London is just such a hub for blockchain technology and frontier technologies. So when you see more conferences like this and more people coming together, I think it's just a great way to sort of showcase the tech skills that London has.
Yeah.
And also it's just a great chance and opportunity for us to keep learning more as well. So I love these conferences.
Me too. So tell us more about Market Orders for those of us that don't know about Market Orders.
Yes, sure. So Market Orders is an online platform, and we actually connect independent jewelers directly to suppliers using technology. Right. So I always tell people we're not a jewelry company, but we're a tech company that enables independent jewelers to get the products and services that they need directly from suppliers. So we're essentially cutting out the middleman.
Okay, so it's jewelers and gold?
Yes, so what we really focus on more is independent jewelers on the high street who need products. So this could be 22, 24 karat gold products, so they're very high value products. And the problem that independent jewelers face is because they don't have purchasing power, they usually have to buy their products from wholesalers or distributors. And the problem with that is whenever you have a middleman, you're always going to have that middle layer who's sucking in higher costs and commissions, and it's usually a very inefficient layer. So what we do specifically at Market Orders is we aggregate the small orders that we encourage independents to place on one side. And then our system has like a smart order router system where we aggregate the products by product type, and then the large order is sent to the supplier, and the supplier is happy because he gets a large volume order. So he's, it's happy days for him. And because he's got a large order, he can give us a discount price on the entire goods, and then we're able to pass those cost savings back onto the independent jewelers. And so they're happy because they're now being able to get products directly from suppliers, which means they have cheaper costs, and it also means they have access to a larger variety of products rather than just sort of being forced to buy something from a wholesaler just because that's the only option.
Okay, cool. And are most of those jewelers based in the UK, or is it worldwide?
Yes, so at the moment, Market Orders is 2.5 years old, and our strategy is really to serve the UK independent jeweler base. So 88% of jewellery companies in the UK are independent jewelers, so that's a very big market. And then we connect with suppliers abroad. So usually where the gold products are produced is in Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai and India, and Malaysia as well. So we have direct relationships with those suppliers. We vet them. We make sure that they're doing legitimate processes, and we also make sure that the products that they are producing are legitimate, because for us as Market Orders, being able to be a trusted partner to independent jewelers is really important for us. So right now we're just focused on serving the UK market, and then within 12 to 24 months we would go into serving the European market base, such as Turkey and Belgium as well.
Oh, Turkey, my homeland.
Yes. So you'll know
my dad's homeland.
There's a huge gold jewelry consumption is very hot and very big in Turkey. And you probably know as well that purchasing jewelry, when a customer walks into a jeweler's, they're already ready to spend a lot of money, but at the same time they want to make sure that that item is going to be a legitimate item and it's going to be something that they can trust. So at Market Orders, trust is something very important to us. So we make sure that we work with suppliers that we trust, and we make sure that we deliver on our promises and make sure that the independent jewelers can actually thrive and survive on the high street, because they're really struggling, as you probably know. So for us, we make sure that we can, jewelers on the high street just want two main things. One is cheaper prices to be competitive, and then the other thing they need is a wider variety of designs. Because if you go into a jeweler's, you're probably okay to spend a significant chunk of money, but you want to have a really beautiful design for that special loved one that you're purchasing the item for, or it could be for a wedding or a birth of a baby. So that's what we really focus on, getting cheaper products and also getting an amazing variety of different designs for the end consumer.
Great. Okay. So I'm sure our viewers are thinking now, I mean, that sounds like a great business model, but what's it got to do with blockchain?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, my co-founder and I started to look into blockchain technology and see how we could actually sort of incorporate it into our business model. And I think it's really important to note that you shouldn't just have blockchain for the sake of it, and that you should have it because it serves a legitimate purpose.
Yeah.
So, through our trading history and the previous experiences that me and my co-founder have had, so Market Orders is like our fourth startup in the jewelry sector. So we've got loads of experience. And what we found was that one of the biggest problems in this industry is all of the transactions, at least 90% of the transactions are happening offline. So this is in terms of getting the products and paying for the products online. Now, the biggest problem was when the supplier was sending the products to the independent jeweler, by the time it reached his shop, that package is going to be interrupted or stopped at several points along that entire journey, sometimes by customs and sometimes by cargo, and sometimes the products are switched in and out. And at other times, it's very difficult to verify the amount of gold that is actually in the product. So, for example, a jewelry bracelet that's 22 karat gold should have at least 92% of gold, and then the remaining is usually copper or rhodium or something else. So it's really heartbreaking when an end consumer buys a product thinking it's 22 karat, and then when he tries to sell it back, he finds out that the majority of the metal is actually not gold. So this is where myself and my co-founder started to look into blockchain, and we saw a really great opportunity to being able to track the movement of gold products along the entire supply chain. So what we're now looking at in Market Orders is how can we have a blockchain solution for the supply chain, so the movement of the products from the mine to the supplier to the manufacturer all the way to the independent jeweler, and then ultimately to the end consumer. And the vision that we have is that we'd like to put RFID or IoT sensors into the actual bracelets or the necklaces. And this would be a very small blood cell sized chip. Mm-hmm. And by the time it reaches the end consumer, they can actually scan the product, and they should be able to see on their mobile app the composition of the metals. Yeah. They can see which supplier provided that particular item, and they could even see what designer designed that product. So we're hoping to really use blockchain in terms of seeing the supply chain and the transparency element in the gold industry, which is very, very, at the moment, very opaque. You don't know what's really where the products are moving and what's going on.
Okay, so obviously our opinion, or my opinion, like supply chain is probably one of the most obvious case studies, kind of use cases of blockchain. Yeah. So how does Market Orders, there's there's VeChain, there's a number of supply chain companies that, got huge $100 million market caps. Like, how do you differentiate from those guys, and why do you think you guys are would be a better position than using just one of those more general supply chain blockchain companies?
Yes, a great question, Erhan. If you use if you use someone else's product, it's already there, so it's almost like you're outsourcing it. But why I believe it's so important for Market Orders to create their own blockchain solution is because we understand the nuances and intricacies of the gold and diamonds market. And within this industry, the biggest thing is trust. And in order to even operate and have transactions with suppliers and these independent jewelers, you need to have good, trusted relationships. So I think that with Market Orders, we already have a trusted brand, and developing a blockchain solution with our name is going to be a very sort of powerful branding exercise as well. And on top of that, my team and I have over 20 years of experience within this industry, so we know that we could create something that is specific for this industry as opposed to just outsourcing it to someone else.
The gold standard.
Yeah, completely. I love that.
You should use that in your comms.
I will.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, Sukhi, can you tell our audience how you got into blockchain then? I understand you're an author, right?
Yes. So I sort of fell into blockchain, I think, as loads of people do.
Yeah.
I spent over 10 years in the corporate banking world, and as I was a bit of a secret entrepreneur and trying to sort of find my way out of the corporate world. And it was only as I was leaving the corporate world, I stumbled onto this term called fintech, and that was the only part of finance that I really found that was really fascinating. So I started to understand more about what fintech was, and I came across these words such as blockchain and Bitcoin. And I was asked in 2016 to become a co-author of the fintech book. And so that's when I really went down into the rabbit hole, and I started to really sort of understand how third world countries in particular could actually benefit from this new technology called blockchain. And then a year later, I went on to writing another book called Blockchain for Books. And I'm an author, and I was looking into how creatives and authors could actually benefit from this technology. And specifically, I was looking into how authors could actually create a business model and a financial model that centered around them, as opposed to the middlemen and the agents who usually took the money first whenever books are sold. And so a year later, I went on to write my third book, which was called Escape the Cubicle, Quit the Job You Hate, Create a Life You Love. And it's essentially, it kind of says what it is. It documented my path and journey of escaping the corporate world and becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I came across a company called Publica, and they are a blockchain-based publishing company. And I was, last year, in April, I was the first author in the world to actually publish a book on the blockchain with Publica. And so that was a really fascinating experience to have.
Yeah, sure.
And what that really specifically means is that every time I sell a book, I get 90% of the profits, and I'm paid within 10 seconds, as opposed to when I sell a book on Amazon, I get paid 3 months later, and I only get paid 70%. And more crucially, I'm very reliant on the third party, who's Amazon in this case, to actually make sure that they're sending me the right data of how many books I have sold, and around the world, there's these different tax implications as well. So with the blockchain, it was just, I saw how more convenient it was and how much faster I was getting the payments, which I think is very important when you're a value creator, because that's what blockchain really centers on. And what the other thing that really excites me about blockchain and publishing and books is that for the first time you actually own a digital asset. So, for example, if you do have a Kindle, you don't actually own any of the books that you have. You've actually just bought the license to read the book. But on using Publica's app, if you buy my book, you now actually own that asset. And what's even more exciting is you can program your smart contract so that every time that digital asset gets sold again, you now actually have payments going to the author, and then you get payment to the seller as well. So for the first time, you've actually got a secondary book market where for secondhand books you're actually getting paid for it now, and that's never really happened before. So I'm really, really excited about this technology and how it can be used.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have any other, was that 3 books now?
Yes.
So firstly, how do you find time to do that and run your business? Secondly, have you got any other books planned in the next few years?
Sure. So writing is like my passion. I've always wanted to write a book, and I ended up writing 3 in 2 years. It was pretty hard to do, but I absolutely love it. And yes, Ohan, I do have another book coming out. It's going to be focused on how do you transcend from being an employee to an entrepreneur. So I'm really excited to look out for that. As yet, it's unnamed, but I will let you know when it comes out.
Oh, cool, great, okay. Just going back to market orders, because obviously that's like a potential buying opportunity for our viewers.
Yes.
How are you planning to? Are you planning to raise money for this new blockchain-based solution? And can you give us more details about what that is, or where we can find it, if we can at all, or if it's still an idea at this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for giving me that opportunity. So right now we're actually filming this in February 2019, and in around 8 weeks' time, we will actually be doing a crowdfunding raise, which is like the traditional way of raising money, and then in return you'll get equity, and we will be going live live on a platform called Crowdcube. But later on this year, we're also going to be doing and probably an STO, so a security token issuing, and we will be doing that towards the back end of this year, so around September or October. We're in the process of actually developing our white paper and really looking into what's the best value proposition for both all the participants in the ecosystem. So what's the best proposition for the business as well as the investors and our customers. So do keep an eye out. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, myself and my co-founder, Ram Krishna Rao. So he's very active on LinkedIn, as am I. And of course, you can always check out marketorders.net. So do be part of our journey. We'd love to have you there.
Perfect. Well, listen, Sukhi, thanks so much for joining us on EAK TV. It's been a pleasure to have you. Maybe we'll see you again at the next blockchain week, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Speaking about your STO.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been great fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. Wicked. Okay, listen, guys, thanks so much. Thanks, Sukhi. Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to EAK TV.